Hello, everyone. Welcome to History with Hersafat. I'm your host, Chris, aka Hersafat. Today on the podcast, we'll be discussing what it's like to be a working individual in the United States and the various highs and lows that come with that. The views shared on this podcast come from your everyday, ordinary people. My hope is that it'll give you a unique perspective on history. For future podcasts, we'll be doing the year 2019 and finally finishing up the decade of the 2010s after only, about a year. And for those that listen to our podcast via Spotify.
Spodcast?
I
Well,
think
that's
it's
new.
That's
Spot.
actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
Spodcast? Yeah.
yeah, that's right. I think Kevin Smith had a Smodcast or something like that, but we're going to call it the Spodcast. Yeah.
Okay.
And for those that listen to our Spodcast via Spotify, Apple, or Spreaker, I forgot to change that shit. We have also a YouTube channel showcasing a number of top-notch videos highlighting some borderline funny moments from our podcasts or Spodcast for your viewing pleasure. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. Back with us once again, we have Brad and Nick. Yeah.
Yo,
Hello,
Hey,
hello.
everybody.
how's it going?
Hey, hey. All right. It's good to have you guys back. Good to have you back. This is going to be a new type of episode we're going to do in here. It's a new segment, a new series. I don't know how many volumes we'll have. Maybe, hopefully, at least 3 or 4, maybe 5 if we're lucky. Where
Hmm.
I'm going to try and get different people on to talk about their jobs, previous jobs, and what that's like, and what it's been like working as an American in the 21st century. So, um, strap on in. We're gonna get a strap on. We're gonna decide.
Yeah.
Figure out.
What?
Yeah, F what? Yeah. Get this started here. So I decided to go with just kind of like a bullet point here. I'm going to ask some basic questions, and whoever wants to go first, um, go. Feel free. I will also chime in. I figure this would be a good one to get my
Sure.
my job stuff out of the way as well. So we'll have 3 people talking about it.
Okay.
Which case stuff like that. But do you guys remember your first job?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Do you
Okay.
remember?
Sorry, I
So
forget.
I mean, say here. I want to know the rules. Like, there are some jobs I don't necessarily want to give out the names for. I'm not sure if I should.
Okay.
I don't know if
No,
that's
don't.
okay.
Yeah, no, it's perfectly fine. Be as vague as you want to be.
Yeah,
Okay.
You don't
I
have.
was thinking that myself. It's like,
Right.
what employees can I throw under the bus?
Yeah, I'm not
You
What
can
gonna.
even change their
corporations can I
names.
Right.
shit
Right.
talk?
Yeah, my first job was a pizza place. My
That's
first
funny if it was.
official tax job, pizza
Yeah,
place.
yeah.
Yeah.
How was it? What was your
Okay,
title?
yeah. So, well, my title, I was literally just like pizza maker, I guess. That really wasn't a title. It was just more like a crew member, very
Yeah,
vague
crew member.
kind of. Here you
Yeah,
are, you're working kind of thing.
you have a
Um,
pulse.
my first impressions, like looking back, like in retrospect, I was a terrible, terrible employee. Like really bad. Uh but I do remember though I can never forget it. My first customer interaction was actually a negative one, which really kind of sucked. It was like it was like signs of things to come in the workplace of the USA. Um, and it was actually my first time on the register too. So it was like my first time on the register at the pizza place. They were just kind of making me float all around, see what I was good at, sort of thing. Put me on the register. I remember that it was cash. A lot of it was cash then. This was probably 2008, 9, something. People were still, you know, more, just as much cash as card, that sort of thing. Anyway, I cashed her out. I remember that I gave her change. Like I couldn't really read the register. No one really trained me on it. They just kind of threw me on it. And
Hmm.
I remember giving her the change, but she said that I gave her not enough change. And there was someone standing next to me, and they were right. They were like, "Yeah, you're right. You need to give her this much total." So I had to do the math in my head, and then I gave her the change to from the stuff that I already gave her. I gave her the
Yeah.
different. And so I gave her the rest, and then I remember she was saying that it wasn't enough. And I
Hmm.
remember pointing out and saying, what about the change I just gave you? That was my first interaction with a customer.
Nice.
Yeah. And my first
uh,
job.
how long were you there? Duration, hourly wage, salary, if you want to discuss that, if you remember.
Yeah, that was like I said, 2008, 2009. So that was around the time where um minimum wage became 7.25.
Oh, nice.
And that's what I was making.
Gotcha.
And it
Okay.
still is
And it
that
still
amount.
is in 2024. Right.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, 7.25, that's what I was making. And I think that I was only there for a few months because I was there for like the fall during the school year.
Hmm.
And then I was there all the way until maybe March,
Gotcha.
February, March.
Okay.
So
All right.
somewhere maybe in like September or October I started.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I
All right.
quit because a whole line of things. I mean,
All
it's a
right.
whole lot of stuff.
Yeah. It's all right.
Don't want to get into that on this
No problem.
podcast. Yeah.
No problem. Brad?
Oh, first job was Burger King in
Burger
Wanata.
King.
I
Nice.
will throw names out.
Hell yeah. I'll throw that shit hole under the bus too.
Oh, it wasn't that bad.
Well,
Let's
what?
see.
Okay, so what was your title at Burger? Were you a crew member, I imagine?
Oh, Jesus. I don't think I had a title. I just worked there.
You were
And,
Brad.
they just put you wherever. I mostly made the food because I was very fast
Hmm.
and
Mhm.
pretty good at it, actually. I remember the district manager came in and she went around like everyone make a Whopper, and it had to be 9 ounces, I think. So I made one and she weighed it and it was 9 ounces and she wrote 9 ounces perfect on this little board,
Nice.
which I don't know.
Nice.
I don't know if the other employees thought I was a suck up or something. I kind of figured, but it's just like, yeah, I just made it the way it's supposed to be made.
Can't you idiots do the same? They
Yeah.
get it. They get it. Yeah.
Oh, I still do that. Anytime I go to Burger King, which is not very often anymore because it's gone to shit, the quality.
Oh
But
yeah.
like, I will open up the Whopper and it's like, okay, are all four pickles like in like the four quadrants on the burger? Are there so many onions, two tomatoes side by side,
Yeah.
three rings of ketchup,
Yeah.
and half the time it's all just piled in the middle. It's like,
Yep.
oh, this drug addict doesn't give a shit.
Uh, how
But
long did you work there?
oh man, let's see. It's 2004. I think I started in 2004, maybe
Mhm.
2003. I
Okay.
think I worked there maybe 2 years,
Okay.
maybe three. I don't know. They wanted to make me a manager,
Really?
but I moved on. Um, yeah,
I
I don't
don't.
know. It was. I remember being always super pissed off whenever we had a rush because it was overwhelming,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yep.
still kind of
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
Like when things get overwhelming, I just get mad. But I don't know. For the most part, it was a good time. I was just a teenager working with a bunch of other teenagers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Had some cute girls working there. I don't know. I can't complain.
Not bad. All right, guys. Thank you. My first job technically would have been Subway. Oh, I did work at the local grocery store in town, our small little shitty little town.
Oh yeah.
I worked there for 3 days. I remember walking into that store
Three.
and the lady was like, "Hey, you want a job here?" And I was like, "Serious?" She's like, "Yeah. You want to like help sweep the floors, stock shelves?" And I was like, "All right, sure." She's like, "All right, come back tomorrow after school." I was like, "Okay." So I did. I worked there 3 days. On the third day, the first day was just kind of getting acquainted to everything. I was like, it was too bad. The second day was pretty bad. Slept a floor for about 4 hours. There was really nothing. No one goes there.
Right.
And I think that day no, it was the third day. And the third day, they finally let me go by like the butcher, like where you're cutting meat, so the deli.
Yeah.
And
Right.
they didn't tell me that you had to wrap it like a certain way. So like this, a film on the paper went around the meat to keep it like, you know, good to go.
Hmm.
They didn't tell me that. I just wrapped it. And so the part that needed to be on the inside was on the outside. I basically chose the meal for that night for that family because they're like, well, we got to eat this because we can't put it in the fridge.
Right.
It's pretty much done. We have to eat now.
Right.
Yeah, get this done.
Yeah.
And then
Hmm.
I went in the bathroom and there was blood everywhere, blood, and I was like, it looked like a homicide, and that
What?
was it. Yeah,
I've never
and
heard
I
this
was up.
story.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
the fuck? Is that the end of it? Like you never found out whose blood that was?
Oh,
It was a
two
butchered
women
animal.
worked. Two women worked there. It could have been an animal. But I believe to recall seeing a number of feminine products, just papers and
Oh,
shit, just ripped. It looked like a homicide, and I was like, "Yep, that's it for me." And I just
Really?
holy
left,
shit.
and I never went back until like 2, 3 weeks later.
Get
And
cigarettes.
she was like, "No, I was in high school. I didn't
Oh,
smoke at that
okay.
time." Yeah,
Oh,
and she
okay.
was like, I remember she's like, you could have just told me you didn't want to work here anymore. And I was just like, yeah, I suppose I probably should have, but the question of why would have come up. And,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm not that good of a liar right now. So I've been like, yeah.
Did
Right.
did you get paid for those 3 days?
Um, no, I don't think so.
Oh,
So I
well,
just,
they owe you then.
What?
I don't believe I did.
Dude,
Maybe
that
I,
place needs to be shut
no,
down.
they got shut down. It was closed
I was
down.
gonna say,
Yeah.
I'm
are they even
just
still
kidding.
around?
No,
No,
it's closed down.
no, dude.
Okay.
Yeah,
There's
I remember
no.
going. I remember going in there a couple times, like
there's
back
a
in the day.
there's a pub there now, actually,
Yeah,
like bar
yeah.
and grill.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, I don't I never filed any paperwork. I was just it was cash under I think I might have gotten like 20
Ah,
bucks.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, my first job was actually Subway. My title was like a crew member. I
Yeah.
worked there from 2003 to 2004, I think. Yeah, somewhere around there. Worked there for
I
about a
was gonna
year.
ask you, Chris. Did I ever come over and get a sandwich from you when I was working at Burger King?
You probably did. I think you did. There
But that was
was
like before we were friends, though. Really, right?
no, we were friends. We were just
Okay.
like real good friends.
Right.
Like we used
Okay.
to hang out. We hung out more than a few times in high school.
Hmm.
But then I was out of high school, so I think it was probably 2004 to 2005 that I worked at Subway. Let's do
Okay.
that.
Yeah. So then definitely, I'm sure I came over and got a sandwich from you, and then
Yeah,
took it back to Burger King to eat it at
yeah.
Burger King in
I
the
would
dining room.
trade. Yeah, I would trade Subway sandwiches for Burger King burgers.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a nice system going
We
there.
did. I remember I gave one to a girl named I can't remember her name. Crystal. That's it. Crystal. And
I
she went
remember
over
Crystal.
to Burger King, and she would call me her husband or something like that.
Oh
Yep.
yeah! Wow, I
Fucking
remember
weird,
that.
Yep. Yep.
dude. All
Yep.
right. My hourly wage was 6.25, I think. And like I said, I was only there for about a year. All right. So for you guys, first memories, your first day. Nick kind of got into that. Your first time meeting someone from work. Did you work with people that you knew already, or was it all new people that you got into? Nick, go ahead.
So you're just talking about the first job.
Yeah.
First day, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Don't remember the first day. I do remember, like I said, those things that I told you already. Um, I remember being so high at work that my boss told me, go outside and sweep up the cigarettes. So that's what I did. Um, and then I remember like doing dishes there,
Nice.
and she was telling me, like, make sure you get like the fronts and the backs of like everything that you're doing. And it's just something that I carried with me ever since. For some
Hmm.
reason, just stuck with me. And then I was very meticulous about dishes ever since, for some reason.
Yeah.
But there's some things that I kept, the because I eventually became just like the pizza cutter guy.
Right.
Like I would just cut pizzas and bag them and set them in the right spot. And I actually really liked doing that. It was a good time. I even went back uh like a couple of years later just to work some really busy weekend with them just for a couple days. Got paid under the table. But
Mm.
yeah.
Not bad. Not bad. Do you remember meeting someone from work for the first, like your very first coworker? Do you remember who they were? Like, do you
So
remember any of that?
so I worked with people that I already knew.
Okay. All right.
So but there were some people that I didn't know, and those were basically like my upper, like the managers.
Okay. Okay. I got you.
So it wasn't that bad of a work environment. It was pretty fun, fast pace. If everyone's in a good mood, it's typically, you got to start joking around and having fun, but also keep up the pace with working.
Hmm.
If you
Yeah.
could do those simultaneously, you got something beautiful.
You got something sweeter than Yoo-hoo. All right. Uh, all right, Brad, do you remember your first day at at Burger King and your first
Oh,
time meeting someone from work that maybe you didn't know? Or did you know everybody as well?
no, I don't think I really knew anyone. My first day, the manager or supervisor was Becky. I don't know if that name is right,
Hmm.
but she showed me how to make a cheeseburger and how to wrap the burgers properly. Like that, that took some time to get that skill perfected. Then the guy who owned it, Big John,
Was that his
then
name or is that his nickname?
that was his nickname.
Okay.
That guy, he was kind of a prick, but
He named him
I
Big.
don't know if Timmy may have been working there. I know I remember working with Timmy multiple times, but I don't know if he was there on my first day. But
I
yeah, I knew
remember you worked
him,
with
and I
Timmy.
remember working with him.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Did you guys used to like throw like buns at each other or something like that? Or like deep
no, I
fry
don't
random
know.
crap?
Oh yeah, we always deep fried random crap. Yeah, yeah. I remember we tried to deep fry like an ice cube. That was a bad idea.
Yep.
Learned that. I think
Yep.
everyone goes through that. It's like, okay, you do not put water in these things.
Ooh.
Um, oh well, with Timmy, I remember the Coke machine fucked up, and it wasn't mixing the syrup with the water, so that it was just pure syrup coming out. So Timmy and I were drinking pure Coca-Cola syrup. And oh my god, the sugar high! I still remember that. Like sweating and like making burgers super fast, and
Right.
Oh
then
God.
yeah, there's some people from, well, my brother and sister ended up working there too with me, and then just
Oh, nice.
random people from either my grade, well, not so much my grade. I don't think I worked with anyone from my grade. My brother and sister's who grade, who were one below me. Quite a few of them worked with me.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah. All
yeah,
right.
there's
Yep.
just random memories coming back. Yeah.
Um, so my first day at Subway, because my first day at that other job was a really good job. My first day at Subway, I remember I walked in, it was in the morning, it was on the weekend, I'm pretty sure, because there's no way I was in school. And I was really early, and I had to get picked up from work because it's kind of a long story, but essentially the former manager of Subway would refuse to hire me over a joke I made in junior high about lunch food, which sounds ridiculous, but it's a small town, and she literally held
It's a
that
Larry
grudge.
David thing, man.
No,
It's
it's
such a
true
Larry David.
though.
I know. It's so Larry David.
And
I'm sorry, go
I
on.
wanted to work at Subway because a number of friends that I knew worked at Subway, and it seemed like, yeah, that seems like a good job. I'll work at Subway. That was my dream job in high school, a Subway. So yeah, so she retired, and this new manager got in, and she had no idea about me. I never made any jokes to her yet about lunch food, so she was actually kind of mortified because I said that that lady would not Sue was her name. And she's probably dead anyway. She wouldn't hire me. So, um, yeah. So the lady, she actually lived in the next street over in our town of La Crosse. So she would drive me to work, and so I worked when she
Hmm.
did, and so she drove me there real early in the morning on like Saturday, and I got to learn about prepping, and I got to learn about how to put everything and weigh these little paper
Mm,
trays and how to
hmm.
make a sub sandwich. And we didn't actually ruler it. We just kind of eyeballed it. Yeah, that looks like 6 inches there. Let's cut in the middle. Boom, there we
Hmm.
go. Um, just how to make the subs and the food and how to work the register. And yeah, it was pretty nice. It wasn't bad. Um, like I said, I met the manager, and then I met this older lady. I can't remember her name, but she was really nice. And yeah, it was I worked with a middle-aged woman and an elderly lady. First day at Subway, and that
Right.
was my first time ever having a coworker, which was pretty neat. All right, so now I'm gonna just get to, even though it's hard not to already engage in this, but I was gonna ask about funny stories and moments, events that happened that during your first, job. You know.
Sure.
Um, all right. So yeah, any funny stories stick out to you from your first job,
So, I
moments
mean,
or events?
yeah, other than what I kind of shared already, I I wore face paint for Halloween because I was able to they said I could dress up So I
Nice.
just put face paint on. And I remember coming in, and my boss was like, "If you get any of that shit on anything, you're going home." And I was like, "Okay, no problem." And I didn't get anything. I did
Yeah,
well, and so she just tipped everyone that dressed up extra that night. So that was awesome. Uh,
nice.
yeah. Um, so I mean, that's not. I guess that's more like a wholesome moment.
That's fun. That's
Um,
good.
I just let's see. I mean, yeah, there's so many jokes that we'd just throw around, just like inside jokes that no one's gonna get on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I
Um,
get you.
and singing songs and just all that stuff. But there was also those, of course, crazy moments where everyone's really serious, everyone's quiet, but if something goes wrong, there's a bunch of yelling and screaming, and
Yeah.
phones going off the hook. There's a bunch of tickets. There's a
Hmm.
bunch of food coming out and shit. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
That's where
Yeah.
you just gotta focus and buckle down and get shit done. I mean, there's no other
Mm-hmm.
way around it.
Yeah. Brad, you got any funny stories besides
Uh,
Timmy and you putting ice or water in a deep fryer and drinking pure Coke?
I remember used to work with this elderly lady, Sylvia,
Hmm.
and the one manager, Brandy, would always scare the shit out of her. It was always funny. Brand,
Oh,
Brandy had this laugh. My sister can do it really well. She laughed like, like when she was really
Whoa, what?
laughing. Yeah,
Oh
she
my
just had this
god.
goofy laugh, and it was funny. Oh man, funny things.
or moment,
I,
crazy moment, something, a
definitely a
crazy event.
crazy moment because this one manager, he would always like buy me cigarettes and shit, and we'd smoke pot like after we closed, and exhale the smoke through the broiler vent, so it just gets sucked out.
Yeah.
Um, he was fooling around with one of the girls at the at Burger King,
Yeah.
and his girlfriend, his actual girlfriend, found out.
Oh
Oh
my
God.
And she
god,
was
dude.
cool. I liked her because I met her a few times, and she just came storming in
Oh no.
like through the employee door, and she's like, "Where's so and so?" And I just remember the look in her eyes, like she's really pissed,
Yeah.
and I'm scared, and I just point. I just like shakily point towards the office.
You
Like,
gave him up.
he's in there.
You gave him up.
And then she goes in there. I just hear yelling and screaming, and
Oh my god, dude.
that the girl that he was fooling around with was working at the time.
Oh my god.
I think she tried to intervene somehow,
Oh no.
and then she was just like, "You shut up, you bitch!" Like
Oh my God.
I was like, "Oh god!"
Wow.
And then I think they, him and her went out back, and I think they yelled like outside, in the back parking lot.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that's about the craziest thing that happened, I'd say, that I can
Okay.
recall off
Okay.
the top of my
Jesus.
head. Then
Um.
that manager Brandy, like if anyone like wasn't instantly good at their job, like new people, she would just be like, oh, that fucking idiot, like she's so
Jeez.
fucking stupid. I would always talk to Brandy, I'm like, Brandy, it's their first day, relax. And she's like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't care.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she used to scare me too because of how mean
Jesus.
she was, but I got on her good side because I was a good worker. So,
Yeah.
but she was ruthless.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
Yikes. All right. Let's see.
Oy, oy, oy.
Funny stories. One time, buddy of mine, Casey, replaced my Mountain Dew with the juice of yellow peppers out of a bag and didn't
Oh
tell
Nice.
me.
god. No.
I took the biggest swig out of that. And I was
Oh
like, it was
no.
so warm and salty and just gross. I just spit it out, and he was laughing his ass off. I mean, it was a good prank. It was a good prank.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right.
So, but man, what a prick. He used to hide in
God.
the retarder and
Yeah,
shock and like scare people, or we used to get
right.
in the retarder and push it around and run it into things. Um,
That's an interesting name for a what exactly?
a
Like,
retarder,
what is that?
it retards the bread is the actual term for it.
Okay, so
it proofs it.
Proofs it. Is that
oh,
what they've
Yeah,
changed it to?
yeah,
That's what it was back in 2005.
well, no,
It's like,
it's called a retarder, but the what it's doing is it's proofing the bread.
Hmm.
So it's a proofer
So
then.
it's yeah, so it just
Okay, I know what that is.
helps. Yeah, it helps the bread rise. That's all.
Yeah. Okay.
That's all it is. Yeah. So it's got these little uh, slits that you can put these trays in that you put the bread on. You spread it out, stretch it out, and you put it in there and you let it sit for, I don't know, 12 hours or something. I don't know. Then
Yeah. Yeah. It just slowly lets it rise.
yeah, exactly. So we
Yeah.
used to hide in there and like do shit there. I used to have a lot of fun with the people because it was in a gas station that I worked in, and right next to me was a Dairy Queen. So there was
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
12 people working in that little spot, all from the local high schools, just hanging out after school, doing work and working in a gas station. And then not only that, like all your friends met at that gas station because it's a small fucking town. That was like the pinnacle of like where really was the crossroads of Indiana. I mean, it's literally right there. It's where everyone would meet. So, but like, so I'd had tons of stories of almost getting like one time I almost got beat up in a parking lot. We took a freshman kid and shoved him in the trunk of a car in that parking lot. Someone called the police. It was a prank, the whole thing. But yeah, so working in that subway was like ideal. That's why I wanted to work there. But we would. I remember one crazy story from Subway. Yeah, it's the one story I always tell. It's when I was working one day. It was like a weekend. I was working with a girl named Sonia, and this gentleman came in and he ordered two subs, 2 footlongs, chicken teriyaki. And I go to the chicken teriyaki and I realize that it's at the bottom of the bin. And at the bottom of the bin is um, where the beginning of the bag was opened and it's a bunch of, or it's the opposite of that. No, it was the top of the bin, it was full. So like the bottom of the bag has like these little tiny chunks of chicken. It still weighs the same, but it
Right.
doesn't look like as much,
Right.
right?
Yeah, it's not a whole chicken
It's not
pieces.
whole chicken, exactly.
It's bits. Yeah.
But it still does weigh the same. So
Right.
that's what it is. So we make these sandwiches and put it on there and get the whole thing squared away. And he looks at it and he goes, "Is that enough? Is that for foot long chicken?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's the same weight." Oh, okay. And, gets his sandwiches and takes them out. The next minute, 2 minutes, this woman comes in with the two subs, slams them on the counter, and says, "I want my money back. There's not nearly enough chicken on these sandwiches. You
Mm.
you screwed us on the chicken. That is not enough chicken for a foot long. I want my money
Oh
back." And the way that
God.
it was settled was the way that it was done. We couldn't actually get back into the register.
Uh-huh.
The key for that was
Uh-huh.
with the manager. And at this time, I skipped this part too. The
Right.
manager that hired me quit, and the old manager, Sue, came out of retirement to take back the job. Lo and behold, she gets into Subway and she sees that I'm working there. I've weaseled my
Uh-oh.
way in while she was
Oh
retired.
no.
So she comes back to me and she hates my guts and lets you know. So, but the key, Sue has it with her. She's the only one that can get in the register. When we call her at home and she's not answering, and that's it. That's all we can do. So we
Right.
can't get in the register. We can't give her money back. We can't do
Yeah.
any of it. So she leaves. And I think nothing of it other than that was a crazy experience. Whatever. Actually, I have
Hmm.
a couple now that I think about it. But anyway, I get my review. I get a nickel raise from Sue, a nickel. So now I'm making 625 after working there for a year. Um, and she says she just doesn't know if I'm capable of working. We haven't worked together long enough, but as of right now, she only feels comfortable giving me a nickel raise. And then she showed me a letter that was written by someone, a complaint that was mentioned me. And in the complaint was the guy writing about how his wife was so mad. He talked about he spells the name of the town wrong. He's like, but my wife was so mad you could have fried a steak on her head. Was a line verbatim written in the
What?
complaint.
That's that's
My
that's
wife
pretty
was
good.
so mad you could have fried a steak on her head. The
Oh
fuck
my
does that mean, man?
God.
She was hot. Whew. Anyway, fucking Hilljack. Anyway, so
Look, man, he made steak and potatoes on her head.
so I don't know, like fucking scrambled eggs, she's just steaming.
Sorry. Guess he's
Fucking
yeah,
ridiculous,
fucking stupid.
Yeah, so I
White
said,
trash.
I looked at it, I looked at the letter, I looked at Sue, and I was like, look, I can't take this seriously. I'm sorry. There's nothing about this that I can take even remotely seriously. He spells the name of the town wrong. My wife is so mad she could have fried a steak on your head. Are you kidding me? You're taking that line seriously? This is a
Yeah,
joke. This is a joke,
yeah.
right? And she gives me a nickel raise. And I walk back, and this time I was working with this girl named Bobby. Um, and I was like, I quit, Bobby. And she's like, what? And I was like, I quit. Oh, please, you can't quit. You can't quit. And I was like, I quit. And she's like, you got to at least stay for the end of the shift. And I was like, all right, I'll stay at the end of my shift. And I did. And at the end of my shift, I put in a post-it note. Dear Sue, I quit. Chris. That was it. But the other story I want to tell, one guy came in this in the morning. It was early morning shift, and he was like, "Can I help you, sir?" He's like, "I'd like a breakfast sandwich." I was like, "We have these little breakfast sandwich rolls or something." I was like, "Okay." And he just goes off. He just starts saying, "I was like, how are you today?" or something like that. And he's like, "Well, my girlfriend left me. Pretty sure someone poisoned my dog. He's dead. And last week, a tree fell on my house. My roof's all caved in.
Holy
I swear to
shit.
God, if one more thing happens, that's it." Anyway, I'd like
What?
green peppers and like, you know, whatever on his sandwich. And I'm thinking when I'm making the sandwich, man, I hope I don't fuck this up.
Yeah, right.
Like I imagine I just thought like,
That
he
would be the
wanted like
last
green
straw.
peppers and lettuce, and I give him green
Right,
peppers and something else, and I didn't give him the sauce or
right.
something. And I give it to him, and he looks at it, and he just looks at me, he goes, "Well, that's it. That's the last
Oh,
straw."
that's all.
And he just
That's all.
walks away into traffic or something. Yeah.
Yep.
He just like fucked up. It was definitely a pressure moment. So yeah. That's my
Well,
funny story.
maybe
Okay.
that sandwich turned his life around and things got better for him.
Yeah. Like that I never thought of that. Yes, absolutely. I like that positive spin.
Yeah.
All right.
You
All right.
never
We're
know.
gonna kind of go through it in a way again. Oh, I was thinking about doing like a timeline. Brad, how many jobs have you had? Can you count?
Duh. 3.
3 jobs. So your first job was BK. What was your second job?
A telemarketer at Americall.
I think I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, I only worked there for a few months, and then
Okay.
I got a job at the time it was Porter Memorial Hospital in the kitchen,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
I've been there ever since doing various jobs in the kitchen.
Now you don't have to talk about hourly wage or anything, but do you remember how much you made necessary, or at least for the telemarketer? I mean,
Oh man, I don't even know.
that's all right. Okay,
Eight or $9 probably, but then you got commissions
that's not bad.
for selling whatever the fuck we were selling.
Yeah, probably like lamps or something. Um, so you worked at a hospital now for how long?
It's probably about 20 years now.
Wow,
Nice,
that's
nice.
awesome.
Yeah. All right. We'll move on to back to Nick. This is going to be about a 10-minute speech here from Nick. Can you give me a timeline of your work
Yeah,
from where you
so
at now to where you
right.
are now?
So my first job, as you guys know, I was right that pizza place, right?
Yep.
But then after that, I didn't really do anything for a few years.
Well, you're still in high school, right?
Well, yes, but then I got out of high school and I literally just didn't do anything. Like I did nothing with my life. I didn't even work. I just did whatever. I just kind of drifted for about a year or two.
Right.
And then I decided it's time to get my life together.
Your
And
mom and
that's
dad didn't say like, "Hey, why don't you get a job?"
no, I mean no, not really. I mean, not really. No. Now, I think about it. No. Um anyway, then I ended up back in Warsaw, not Poland, but Indiana.
Well, back.
Um, yeah. um, and then that's when I working at Subway. And it's funny that you have like all these Subway stories because like Mac, dude, I have so many. So
Oh, I have
many,
a lot too. I just saved.
right?
I just pulled a couple. Yeah.
Um, yeah, 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 yeah. But so that was a Subway there. That Subway I did really well in because like I started as a crew member, I became a shift leader, and then I became assistant manager, and then I was doing some store checks, like I was shopping other stores that were part of the district.
Oh, nice.
Got paid extra for that. And I went to like company picnics, and I was there pretty much my entire time in Warsaw. And honestly, man, I loved working there, and they
Yeah.
were really great people. And it sucked that I had to leave them behind. But before that Subway, when I initially got to Warsaw, I went to a agency like a like a talent agency or
Temping
whatever.
agency?
Temping agent, talent agency.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you have to have
temping
talent for
agency.
that.
Yeah. I'm a temping agency, and I started working at this place called Wildman Uniform Linen. And it was
Okay.
this, oh my God, that job was basically like this industrial um like laundromat. And I started
Ooh.
out not folding. I started out like hanging clothes that was like in like this basket next to me, and I would just put them on hangers and put them on this line, and they would just fly up in line. It was just crazy. And eventually they put me into this spot called soil sort, which is all the shit that comes in, all the dirty laundry and shit that comes in, and it just goes on a conveyor belt, and we're just sorting it. Like, bar towels and this and that go in one basket, and pants go in another basket, and blah 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 blah. But this shit is nasty, right? Some of this stuff is like the blue bin, any of the bins that you see in like restaurants, people will throw like aprons in and bar
Mm-hmm.
towels in. That's the shit that we get, but it'd be in like blue bins sitting out in the sun. And then by the time we get it, there'd be maggots and shit. And we
Ugh.
would be sorting through all that. And I would be wearing like all the PPE they gave you because they gave you lots there. But there was this guy named Bob who'd been there for 45 years doing soil sort, who was eating chips with no gloves, no PPE.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He's just like just eating. He's like, I ain't got time for lunch. We got lots of work to do. Like fuck me, dude. And I had already met his wife, who was at the hanging area. But anyway, besides that, after Subway, I actually worked at Subway again when I came back towards like the hometown, like in Valpo. And I worked at two Subways in town. And then after that, I worked at Target. And then after that, I worked at Burger King in Wanata, the one right next to the Subway, and the one that
The same one Brad worked at.
exactly,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I was working at Five Guys. And then I was working at Burger King again, not that other one, but another one. And then after that, it was Taco Bell. Then it was Walmart, and then Chipotle, and now Jimmy John's.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That sounds about right. That's
So
a hell
how
of a
many
resume
is
you
that
got there.
altogether? Did you count?
There might be a few in between there because yeah, no, I did actually work at one point work at Dollar General Warehouse loading trucks.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I've run into you multiple times at many of those jobs.
Yeah.
I do remember you working the drive-through at Taco Bell,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
how pleasant your voice is, like
Thanks,
through the
man.
drive-through.
Thanks.
It's just like the nicest drive-through voice.
Hell yeah, dude. Thanks.
Hey, you didn't go when I went there. I went there. But
No, I stayed away when you were there.
yeah, as you
We
should
were
have.
there. There was a point where we were there at the same time. So, and I
Yeah.
remember seeing you.
Ah, shit.
All right.
But yeah, that's my job
So for
history.
me, um, this is kind of like a resume here. Obviously first job Subway. Then after that, after I quit and told Sue to fuck off, I went to Walmart and I worked there for a season. It's just seasonal work, and they liked me, but they didn't keep me. They told me to come back or reapply in the summertime because they were doing a remodel. So I did, and they hired me back, and I worked overnight remodel at Walmart again. Then they hired me on permanently, but they put me in the freezer overnights. So I'm in like negative 40-degree freezer at 2 in the morning, and I'm thinking, this isn't for me, you know. And my clutch going out of my car kind of helped that solidify me, and then I just didn't go back. And then I kind of just floated around for about 3 or 4 months. Eventually, actually longer than that, kind of actually probably almost a year, almost I would say. And then eventually I got a new car because I finally got like money from an accident that I had gotten in, and I
Which car was
got
this one? Was that
Saturn.
the Saturn?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh
And
yeah.
then when I got that car, I was able to get a job at a bank, and I worked at a bank from like
Mm-hmm.
2005, yeah, November of 2005 to like June of 2008, June, something like that. So, and I worked there for 3 years. I liked working at a bank. I worked about 40 minutes away from where I live, but it was a nice little commute in the morning. I get dressed, I get my tie on, my dress shirt, my dress pants, comb my hair. If I had a briefcase, I totally would have brought one, but I didn't need one, so I just go out. But the whole thing, and then get in my little Saturn and drive 40 minutes to work, home again. I think I got paid like $9 an hour or something like that. It was my pay at that time. It wasn't bad. I mean, I like that. It was a family-owned business, a family-owned bank. We had Christmas parties, summer picnics, that sort of thing. Um, my mom worked. She was a manager. Our mom, Nick and was a manager at a bank. So that's kind of my
Hmm.
shoe in there. So they wouldn't just hire some schmuck. So they hired me because I had connections. And no, I really really enjoyed it. I made some friends there. I still have. And yeah, it was good. My next job after the bank, because they got bought out by another bank, and they gave me a severance package. There's a whole thing to that, but I won't get into it. And then I went back to school, and I worked for the DNR, the Department of National Resources, for like a summer, just like an internship sort of deal for a summer.
Yeah, you got a hell of a
Um,
tan.
yep, and
Yeah.
hell of a sunburn too. And yeah,
Yeah.
it just um, after that, I got in the middle of school. I'll never forget that day because I was sitting. I mean, I forget most today, but I'll never forget that moment, I should say. But I was
Mhm.
sitting in the computer room doing homework, doing like a final for an English class while applying to a Target and telling Nick to go back to school, not to get his GED, but to actually graduate. I was
Oh yeah.
instant messaging him. I'm doing three things at once there.
Hmm.
And then, so then, yeah, I was completely taken by surprise when I got a phone call and left a voicemail and I answered. I looked back, it was Target. And I was like, are you kidding me? Target's calling me back? Holy shit. So, yeah, I went in there, I got an interview. And this is 2009. This is like, again, November of 2009.
Hmm.
And yeah, I guess I had mentioned I went to Lacrosse High School. I mentioned I put it down as my education, and the one of the people that worked at Target knew someone from Lacrosse and liked them, and that they were nice person. So they had fond memories of at least one person from Lacrosse. So if there's one person, there's definitely going to be two. And so yeah, that was it. And after that, I got hired in working in the cafe, and so I'd work in the cafe part time and go to school, and I did that for a little bit. And then I eventually stopped going to school and just worked at Target. I worked in the electronics section after working in the cafe for a couple of years. I worked at Target till 2021. So I worked from 2009 to 2021, about 11 years or so. And yeah, that's a whole other thing. But and then after that, I got a job as got hired in a union as a millwright. I had been taking tests to try and get in there for a couple of years, and finally did. And uh, stuff happened, and I no longer work as a millwright. Now my current job is as a locksmith. And I work as a locksmith or apprentice locksmith. I probably am. I'm not qualified enough to call myself an actual locksmith, but I try. So
You're working on it.
I'm
You
working on it.
just
I've only
say
been there
you
like
are,
five
man. There's
months, so
nothing.
4 months, yeah. Um,
I'm a
but yeah, so
locksmith,
that's been
so
my
just say that.
that's my basically my timeline. So my title is wannabe locksmith, and right now it's like only been a few months. Yeah, salary and all that,
Right
so I
on.
won't bother with that. But yeah, um, yeah. So that's pretty much that's it. And I remember my first. Let's see. Okay,
I was gonna say, can we share things with our past jobs, or is that like a segment that you got planned?
yeah, no, it is. It's a part of a segment sort of thing. So
Okay.
yeah, and it's just like um,
Because I have a few things I'd like to share. I just don't want to do it unless you have something planned, is
yeah,
all.
no, I do. It's all right. So we'll move on
Yeah.
to the next part here. So something that
Yeah.
you struggled with at work. Do you remember anything that you struggled with when you with that
Phew.
work at any job? Something that like you just like, man, I never really understood that. I never got it, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Um, and it's weird to say it today because I'm not that way at all anymore. I used to struggle with customer service.
Really?
Yeah, big time. Um, and until I got that job at the subway, like in Warsaw, like at
Yeah.
when I was in like my other jobs that I had to deal with when I worked at the pizza place, to deal with customers, I couldn't do it. Phone calls, people in front of me, especially with that first encounter, you know,
Yeah.
like it just really like it after that it was just rough. Um But yeah, until I got to Subway, and when I got there, like it was really difficult.
Mhm.
Like I was shaking, and I had to like sit down, get some water. My boss straight up told me to, because she could see that like I was not, I had horrible social anxiety.
Yeah.
But I got over that really quick, and I actually, my friend Dan, again, who listens to this podcast, shout out to Dan, but
I wonder if he still does after 6 months.
I I doubt it. I doubt it.
Yeah.
Um, but I'd have to ask him. I'd have to ask him. He's actually the one that helped me get over that.
Oh, nice.
And it wasn't really. It was more like it wasn't like a personal thing. It was more just like me watching him and how he dealt with the customers and what he did, what he, how he did it.
Hmm.
Um, I kind of emulated that and realized that it was easier. And
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it just got better because
Nice.
all he did, he just maintained, he had like a customer service voice.
Yes.
He had
Yep.
Eddie's
Hmm.
voice, and he was like always smiling, and he was always greeting people, and he was always like washing his hands and cleanliness, and like he was very all about that, and I thought that was great. I loved that. So
Hmm.
I was like, oh man, he could just deal with customers like it's nothing. So I just
Like, how
emulated
do I
it.
learn that? Yeah. Absolutely.
Exactly. So and it became a huge thing. And then I ended up really liking it. And yeah, it's a huge one of my favorite things about working actually in
Brad,
the service.
Hmm.
Yeah.
do you have anything that,
Struggles.
yeah, anything that
I
you struggled with at your jobs? One of them, at least.
when I was a telemarketer briefly. So, well, when it would like robocall the person,
Oh, yeah.
uh, it would wait until they said hello, and then it would immediately pop up on my screen, and I would have to start talking immediately, or else there would be like a noticeable pause. And some of the
Uh-huh.
people's last names, I couldn't pronounce them because they're like foreign or Polish or
Oh no.
crazy ass last names. So it would pop up and I'd just be reading immediately. Hello, is Mister there? And they're like, excuse me, and then Mister Broyovich, Siska, and then they would hang up on me.
Oh boy.
It would be, man. Actually, that's probably why I only worked there for a few months because it was a struggle. Because you have to read the script and try to sell these people their like extended whatever the fuck credit card thing from Visa or whatever it was, and get a lot of
Was this a
people.
scam?
Yeah, I don't know. You know what? I legally I cannot disclose if it was a scam or not, even though that place no longer exists.
Right.
But yeah, just people, and then people would yell at you, and one guy
Oh,
called me
yeah.
the N word.
What?
Yeah,
Oh boy.
because he thinks I sounded like one.
Okay.
Which,
Christ.
man,
Holy shit, dude.
I mean, I don't even know. Yeah, that was insane. Like I started laughing because of how absurd. But the way he said it was like so hate filled. Like this was some real fucking racist bastard on the
Right.
other end of the
Mm.
line.
Ugh.
Ugh, yeah. And then
I mean,
people,
in a way, I'm glad you're scamming this motherfucker.
yeah. Oh no, I wish I could have gotten him.
Right.
But
I'm surprised you didn't. He's uneducated.
it was just definitely a yeah. That place was it was a struggle. Yeah, just getting through the script and then yeah, keeping them on the line, and then if
Right.
they fall for it, then have to get all their information and type it in, and then I get like a commission or whatever. Which I remember getting a few. Some people were really good at it though. I don't know how they did it.
Yeah.
They had that customer service voice, which I did not because I was probably high most of the time trying to do this. And
All right. Is
um,
it?
I
Oh, go
guess
on.
that's really. Oh, and then also when I started at the hospital, they trained me on like 5 different jobs, so that was a struggle trying to
Woo.
Oh,
because
boy.
I would just fill in for
Wow.
everyone's day off. That
Oh,
went on for a while until I just became like a cashier, straight up cashier for a while,
right.
and I was pretty good at that. Like a lot of people liked me. That's when I finally started like becoming more sociable with random people. And
Yeah, it can be a lot of fun, right?
Yeah.
yeah, it actually can be.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think
But
here for something that I
yeah,
struggled with at work. Um, Being on time, I think, was a big one for me. I mean, I could do the customer service. I always had like an ability to do that. I don't know. It just came natural to me in a sense. But I don't know. I never, people like to ascend, do that. Like, there's a place to ascend. You can go ascension and send or work. You start at the bottom here. You can be an assistant manager or something like that. I never really got into that sort of thing. I always thought of, I never want to do this for that long. I never want to do this for that long. And so I always struggled with the idea of like staying in one spot and doing, even though I stayed at Target for a long time, I never even remotely considered being a manager of some sort. Even though I would do like managerial things,
Right.
I never want to do it. So I would say struggling with, being on time, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, I never really, none of the work I've ever done was overly difficult. It
Mm-hmm.
was pretty simple. Um, but it was just a matter of, I struggled with maintaining, uh, I don't know,
Punctuality.
yeah, punctuality and, you know, direction or wanting to, you know, I'd have good spurts and then I'd be like, man, I just kind of slack, don't really, it wouldn't
Right.
look like slacking because a lot of people, you know,
Just
but it is for me. I could do a lot
kind of
more.
stare at the
I just
desk.
kind of just blankly, just like, man, I
Yeah.
wish I was almost anywhere else. Um,
Right.
anything that came easy to you at work, anything that was just like, yeah, maybe, I'm good at this job. I'm good at my job. Anything
Anything
you're like, yeah,
that came
anything else?
easy.
Yeah, anything for you guys?
Um.
Customer service was for me. I could talk to
Right.
people and make them laugh or calm them down
Well,
or
that's
whatnot.
interesting. Well, for me, the being punctual was is something that I find really important for myself.
Yeah,
So like I always try to be on time all the time
yeah.
for anything.
Brad?
Yeah.
Came easy. It man,
Yeah,
pretty much everything came easy except for the telemarketing thing.
yeah. I figure.
Right.
Um, I mean,
Well,
like,
that's yeah,
let's say like my
Sounds
current,
crazy.
because I've worked at the same hospital for so long.
right.
Pretty much, I should
It's
be
all
running the place really,
right.
but
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, you really got
but
to think a while ago from like think about how it was when you started kind of thing
Yeah,
to really get that.
came
that's right.
easy.
Yeah,
I guess running the cash register at the hospital came
yeah.
easy.
I was gonna say that's
Like,
probably
Okay,
like
what
there
it's
you
just
customer
like
go.
mission.
a bunch of buttons for
There you go.
different food items, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, no problem. And
Right.
Yep.
The hardest job you've ever had. What's the hardest job you guys have ever had? Whether mentally or physically or both.
I mean, the telemarketing job.
Telemarketer for Brad.
I haven't really had a mentally difficult unless it's like a irate customer, but
Yeah.
that can be I mean there I've had one really horrible situation happen,
Mhm.
but I don't know if this segment is for that.
Right.
Um but what was the question again? I'm sorry.
Hardest job you've had,
Hardest
whether mentally,
job.
physically. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I didn't say mentally. I want to say physically. Physically
Okay.
was definitely loading trucks at Dollar General. It
Gotcha.
was a lot of fun. I liked it, but
Yeah.
physically, whoo, it was
Yeah.
rough, man.
Um, millwrights, millwright work.
You don't
Uh,
say.
yeah. Yeah. Easily.
Right.
Easily. Not even a question. 123-degree heat. Yeah, go up there. Why not? Can't breathe. Why not? You got to be in that for 12 hours. All right, 12 hours is up. Well, we need you for another 12. What? Yeah, another 12. Fuck. All right. 24-hour shift. Sure, you get paid a lot, but motherfucker, you're dead.
Yeah.
I would luckily never had to do that. I was there for
Right.
about 14, 15 hours one day, and then had to be back in
That's
5.
that
So
story. I think it's what's your first day at the mill, right? That I never forget. Like you told me that story, and it was that was crazy.
my
What a story
first
that was.
my first job at the mill,
I think it was
that's
yeah. I
our
think
first one of the first day, I should say. Um,
yeah. It
what is that?
was yeah, that was nuts.
Um, easiest job, probably Burger
Easiest?
King for Brad, or maybe the hospital now because you've
No.
been there for so long, I imagine.
Uh, Easiest job was probably being the midnight cleaner,
Yeah,
which I did. I did that for what, like 12, 13 years,
yeah,
working midnights.
yeah.
Yeah, just clean everything overnight. No one bothers you.
That sounds like a good time.
Yeah,
It was for a while, but the midnight shift it gets to you.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
took a while for it to get to me, but it got to me, and now I'm back on
Is
days.
it? I was gonna say, is it like it's like The Shining?
Pretty much, yeah. Very a very
Isolation.
slow build up over years and
Right.
years until
Yeah.
yeah, I cracked.
Right.
We won't get into that though.
Yeah. Um,
Man.
easiest job for you, Nick?
Easiest job for me?
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh man, I don't know.
You can have no answer for it. It's okay.
Yeah, I don't really have an answer.
That's all right. Do you best job, guys? Best job. What was the best job you ever had? Was it hospital? I imagine, Brad. It'd have to be because it's 20 years. It can't be the worst.
Actually, my current job as a dishwasher is the best job.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Dude, that sounds
Well,
chill.
washing dishes, it's some. You mean some of my? I mean, all. I really love a lot of my coworkers. Like they are awesome people. A couple of them
Mhm.
get on my nerves on occasion, but overall, like you go into that kitchen and everyone's like they're all working, but everyone's joking around and laughing. There's music playing, like
Yeah.
that kind of. And then if I don't want to talk to anyone, I can just do the dishes and listen to a podcast or music, and just keep to myself.
Yep.
And then when I go put away dishes, I can joke around with people, and then
There you go.
yeah, it's really
That's
great
awesome.
actually.
Yeah.
And I
Nick.
get paid because I've been there for so long. I get paid pretty
Yeah,
well. So
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It sounds awesome, dude.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's great. That's great. Really.
yeah,
Uh,
man.
Nick, you have a best job?
I don't really have a favorite or best job. I just have a lot of really great moments
Gotcha.
in like everywhere I've worked.
Maybe worst job. Telemarketer for Brad.
mhm.
Right? Easy peasy. Nick, what was your worst job? Do you have that?
Worst job. I don't, not really. I think maybe the subway that I worked at Walmart was probably really bad. Just because
Yeah.
the management sucked. There's a
Yeah.
reason they got shut down and all that. So, also, I think second to that would be maybe the Burger King on Calumet, but also at the same time, like those people were fun.
Yeah.
Like I had a good time there too. So I don't know. I don't really have a worse job. So
I didn't say my best job. My best job, um, probably Target, I'd say. Yeah, it was especially early in the first couple years of Target. I was young. I was hanging out with a
mhm,
bunch of people that were my age or just a little bit younger.
mhm.
We had about 10 to 15 people that we all hung out together. We would all go out like after work or on the weekends or get together. I went to like Thanksgiving at one of their house, with their parents and just ate Thanksgiving meal with them. And then we went for Black Friday and worked there. So Target was the best job I had. It was also the probably one of the worst jobs I had. Um, I think in a lot of ways. So it was a weird mixture because it started off being the best and then slowly became like the worst. And yeah, um, I don't really think. I mean, I haven't had too many jobs. Subway was fine. It was the Sue sucks. That was a given. Walmart wasn't bad. It was just I didn't want to do the position they put me in, and I didn't sign up for that, so I didn't get to vote. I didn't like apply to be in the freezer.
Yeah,
They just put me there. So
that's funny. That's what happened to me at Target.
yeah. And I was like, all right, I'm not gonna do this. And not only that, it was the midnights. So and
That's so funny, dude.
but the
Holy
thing
shit.
is I was already on midnights on remodel, so that didn't matter to me. It was
Oh,
just the
right,
freezer. Yeah, I didn't want to do
dude.
that. I thought it'd be okay, but then I didn't like it. Anyway, um, yeah, so that'd be both. How many coworkers became friends? Any lifelong friends from your coworkers from your job? Have you made any? I have.
Yeah.
I've made
Uh,
countless. Yeah,
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 of
absolutely.
course.
Yeah. Um, Brad,
I mean, man, most of the people that we were kind of a really tight knit group. We like go out drinking together and everything. go to parties at like specific coworkers' houses and whatnot. They're all pretty much gone now.
Yeah.
But so I don't know if they're. Yeah, I've never really stayed in contact with a lot of them,
Yeah.
with any of them really. But yeah, you're saying like lifelong friends.
Yeah. Because I have.
I
I'm
mean,
sure Nick has.
there's some people who I would consider
Yeah.
friends that I work with, sure, but I don't really hang out with them outside of work. But
Yeah.
when I'm there, we're friends.
Sure.
Work, I guess they just call them work friends. I
We're
guess.
friends. Yeah, absolutely. I get it. So I was going to ask you, have you ever hung out with coworkers outside of work?
Oh well, yeah, I used to. Not so much. Not really anymore.
Okay. Yeah. Nick?
Yeah, hung out with coworkers outside of work. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Okay. Any funny, crazy, weird stories of coworker get-togethers where like you've never hung out together and then you guys get together one night, you're like, let's all get together and go to a bar. Let's go here, go to a friend's house. And you do, and you're like, what the fuck is happening here? So, any of that?
No, not
Um,
really. I
Not
would
really for
say
you.
standard get-togethers. Used to go to Pepe's all the time. I think Chris, you came to one of my coworkers' like retirement parties.
Yes, you did. You invited me to that. Yeah. And I
Yeah,
signed her
nothing.
card.
Not, yeah. What was her name? Marcia, right?
Yep. And I think she had a daughter that worked at Target with me. A
Oh,
couple of
okay.
them, actually.
Small world.
Yep. That's, yeah.
But nothing crazy ever happened. Uh, used to go this one lady's house and have like big bonfires, and I remember that's the first time I shot a gun
Oh,
because
nice.
some guy brought like a 9mm pistol, and we were trying to shoot a bottle full of gasoline that was like in the
Oh,
fire,
God.
trying to shoot it to make it explode. Which in retrospect, yeah, I mean, I didn't hit it, but but we were all drinking, and
right.
it's like, wait a minute, that was a bad combination there. But
Oh yeah.
crazy. I mean, oh my god, it went to a coworker's party at her apartment.
Hmm.
I remember I was smoking a cigarette, and I was all fucked up. I actually burned the back of her couch,
Oh, Jesus
and
Christ.
her and I knew her girlfriend, and I think the next day she came in and she was like, "Oh, my girlfriend's so fucking pissed at you that you burned the back of the couch." And
Oh,
I'm like, "Oh my
God.
god, I don't even remember that happening." And then,
Yeah,
well, I'm not gonna get into more detail because
yeah,
some
but
other illegal activities happened, but
yeah, no
yeah,
worries.
that's about the craziest.
The crazy. So Brad burned the back of a coworker's couch or a coworker's girlfriend's couch.
Right? Yes.
Right. Okay.
Hmm.
Nick, you got any funny, crazy, or weird stories of coworker get-togethers?
Funny, weird, crazy coworker get-together stories. Any of those are just gonna be really just with Dan.
Yeah.
And Dan and I had just gotten to some really crazy shenanigans. And a lot of it is, I mean, honestly, it's just I can't really say much about it. It'd just be incriminating. So I can't,
Gotcha.
you know, like
Gotcha.
let's just say that Dan and I have had our fair share of some really crazy nights that honestly any of them could be a movie,
Uh,
like a stoner movie, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah. All right. So like I said, we used to hang out all the time, 10 to 15 people. We'd hang out all the time. I've lost count of how many funny stories, crazy stories, strange things that happened in my work, working at Target, especially. That was the precipice of all that. We went to a bar one night. We saw a girl passed out next in the like out like she was passed out against the trash can, like inside the girl's bathroom, but there wasn't a door to the bathroom, but there was like a corner that you had to go around so you couldn't like see in. You could just see like at the very entryway, and there was a trash can right there on the way out for people to throw things away. And she was passed out right next to it, and someone was like, "Hey, there's a girl passed out." A friend of mine took a picture. Then another person looked at that girl and was like, "Hey, I know her." And I'm like, what? So she goes and wakes her up, and I'm gonna take her home. I'm like, okay. And then don't think anything of it. Monday morning rolls around. I go into work. A friend of mine's like, hey, did you hear what happened to so and so? And I was like, what? What do you mean? Yeah, they remember that girl they took home? What's that? Yeah, she died. What? Yeah, she's dead. You serious? Yeah. Holy shit. And I'm thinking, what do you mean? Yeah, what happened? Well, it's a pretty messed up story, but apparently her boyfriend came home and they believe at that time that he had killed her or something like that. Well, why is that? I mean, that's crazy. Yeah, but the thing is that apparently, like, they had sex while she was passed out, and he videotaped the whole thing, but she was dead the whole time. So he was apparently having sex with a dead person, and he didn't realize it.
Oh my God. I remember this. Oh, that's fucking crazy, dude.
Oh, yeah,
Oh my
that's bad
God.
shit. Fucking crazy.
Yeah. So my friend deleted the picture on her phone. Then the police got a hold of, they talked to her, who was the last person to see this person alive, all that stuff. Yeah. Well, we were. I saw her one of the last moments because she was passed out next to a trash can. But that actually story is, I mean, it's still fucked, but I found out, I talked to somebody who's actually a prison guard at the local jail where he was at. Apparently that story is, that was a kink they did. There was tapes, or not tapes, but there was videos upon videos
What?
upon videos of she would get really messed up, pass out, and he would have sex with her. Then they'd watch it back, and that was like a kink for them. So this is him and another day in his life. Oh, here we go again. But she OD'd.
Jesus Christ,
Oh,
dude.
okay.
So yeah. And so he had to release all those videos to get himself free. So
Right, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so that was a funny, yeah, not really funny, crazy, weird story. Wow, I remember the first time I hung out with people from Target. I hadn't smoked weed in forever, and our cousins were visiting randomly. And as a parting gift, they gave me a nug. So I packed that in a little bowl. I still had this little blue bowl that you could like unattach and like make it part of your keychain. I don't know why anybody would do that. But I did. So, and I smoked it, and I'm thinking I'll be good. It won't hit me for at least in a little bit, and it hit me like within 10 minutes, and I was way too high to be even driving. But I drove all the way to Franklin House and got there, and the uh, coworkers were like, "Hey, it's Chris." I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I was talking to him. And one girl, she's like, she looks over at me, and she's like, "Are you high?" And my eyes are glazed over, and I was like, "What? No." She's like, "It's okay if you are. I'm an art student. What do you think we do here?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm really
Oh,
right.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I'm really high."
great.
And I was like, "Yeah, it's cool." She's like, "You got any?" I was like, "No, I smoked it at the house. I came here." And no, it was good. It was a really fun time. We had I found out who was gay at work. I got to find that out. Did you know this person was gay? Oh, how did you not know they were gay? I had no idea. Got to hang out with just a bunch of people. I went to weddings. I've been to a funeral at
Mhm.
Target. I've been to all sorts of things.
Right.
Um, I would have been in somebody I met at Target. Him and his girlfriend were working together, and then they got engaged. Then they got married, and we all went. And I would have been in his wedding had he not had like six brothers. So there's that. But yeah, it was really good. Just lots of, just so many to tell. It's just crazy. That's one
Mhm.
time there was a huge snowstorm, polar vortex, -20 degrees, 4 feet of snow,
Oh, I remember this.
car inside the snow for 2 weeks, drive by it every single day. Turns out someone OD'd the night of the big storm and just died in the back of their car.
Mm-hmm. I
So I
remember
was
that.
driving by a dead body in my car in our parking lot for at least 2 weeks. I remember looking over at the car buried in snow. Like the snow plows were just like, fuck this car. And they just piled snow on top of it. And there was a dead body in
Jesus.
it the whole time. So yeah. Yeah. I don't know why my stories revolve around dead people, but yeah. Really, I remember one time it was a huge storm and tornado warning and all that stuff. I completely drenched. I get into work and everybody's in the shelter place. So like every customer, every coworker, every manager is in this little huddled area, and I'm the only one coming through the door. Like, hey, Chris. I was like, hey, how's it going? Um, yeah, that's really good. So, yeah, those are some. Do you guys ever date anyone from work? Uh, how
Oh
did
yeah.
that work out? Are you guys still together?
No. No.
Never?
Like, oh, well,
No?
maybe three or four girls throughout the years.
Yeah.
But none of them work there anymore, thankfully.
Nick, did you ever date anyone from work? Or, I mean, yeah,
Uh, no.
technically,
Well, well, okay, so no, but technically yes.
yeah,
The thing is that I was dating her before I started working with her. So like I ended up working at where she works,
right,
and
yeah,
I was already dating her.
right,
So I eventually did, and then
right,
I did for a while. Um, but we worked together really well. We're a
yeah,
great team.
yeah,
We're a great team working together. We're just a great team in general.
yeah.
So it just,
Just kind of works.
yeah, it's great.
No, for me. So just all right. When you were younger, what did you want to do? Did you want to be a Jimmy John's guy, or Brad? Did you want to work at the hospital? Did you have any idea? What did you want to do? I know this is kind of like a play on the question, the 10 questions. So maybe this is your way of redoing it, Brad.
Right. Yeah, you go ahead, Brad.
What did you want to do?
Man, I never ever figured that out,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. That actually makes more sense than saying you figured out what you want to do in a way.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe someday I will figure that out,
yeah,
but
Sure.
sure.
who knows?
Who knows?
I was never really concerned about it.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
I
as
feel
long as
that.
I
Absolutely.
can make ends meet at the moment, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but I mean that makes sense, right? I feel that way too. But like uh what was the original question?
When you were younger, what did you want to do?
Yeah, like what it's kind of
Oh,
like the
when I
question,
was
what do you want to
younger,
be when you grow up kind of thing.
I guess like a scientist, quote unquote.
Yeah.
As a Bill Nye the Science Guy in Beakon's
Right,
World, and
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
right.
Nick?
Um, well, I started out very grandiose. All of it was pretty grandiose, but I really wanted to do like a neurosurgery. Then I wanted to be a neuroscientist.
Hmm.
Then I wanted to be a nurse, and then kind of gave up on all of that.
Gotcha.
Didn't even want to attempt it. But
Um,
the
uh,
reason
uh,
yeah, go ahead.
no, no, I was just, oh, no, go ahead. It's another question. It's
Um,
completely different.
and then so then after that, I mean, I never really, if you're talking about like up until today, like Brad was saying, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's not that it's more about, I mean, for me, I'd like to find something I actually enjoy. That's really important for me right now in my life. Something that I want to do every day,
Yeah.
not just for the dollar.
Hmm.
And I feel like I can find it.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
I don't
and
believe
so
it.
that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm just not, you know, I'll get it someday.
Yeah.
But what I'm looking for right now, it's not really what I want to be. What I'm looking for right now is something that I can move away from food, but
Hmm.
still be with like the people side of the food.
Gotcha.
Because so I'm looking at doing like I don't know, trying to do something. I don't know
I gotcha.
with in regards to like people, like an old folks home or something.
Okay. Um, when I was younger, I had no idea what I wanted to do. The idea seemed foolish to box yourself in such a way. I don't know if there's anything anybody wants to do for their entire life. It seems to be a hard thing to do. Even people that have something that they do and that's their job, they do other things. So it isn't like that's the only thing they do. And I don't know necessarily what that means with your life. Your life is your own to do with you please. So part of it is working, I suppose, just because of the society in which we live. But the reality situation is, it doesn't entail you for one thing only, and that's it. So it was always a silly question to me. What do you want to do when you're older? Everything I can. You
Right.
know, that's what I want to do. Do you guys have a plan for retirement? So that
I
silence, I'm going
mean,
to go with the no.
if if all else fails, I'm just gonna like throw a brick through a window and just go to jail, and then just
Holy shit, that's not good. That's not a
No,
retirement
no, no,
plan.
no. It's not. But no, that's like last resort.
That's if
Like
all else fails.
if I
Papa
just
Roach?
yes, exactly. This
Cut
is
his
my
life
last
into pieces
resort.
and throw him in jail.
If I'm retired and I run out of money, I'm just gonna go to jail, and then at least I have a roof over my head and 3 meals a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, all right.
That's the darkest timeline. I don't expect it to
Right.
happen, but
Well, if
it's
you're gonna
there.
throw a
It's
brick
there.
through a window, you wouldn't expect to be there for longer than 6 months, you know.
Well, then I would just do it
Especially
again.
with
You
good
know,
behavior, you'd be out in 3 and you'd be like, fuck, this is
I would
retirement.
just keep. I would just keep doing it then.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see. I see. I see.
But
repeat
yeah, that is
offender.
the darkest
You just get
timeline.
because
But
you got it.
it's
Because yeah,
hmm?
you had to go to prison. You're gonna do some big time, right? You're
Well,
in
if it comes
retirement.
to that, that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
I know that's the
It's gonna have to be
darkest
some like
timeline, but
embezzlement or fraud or something like that. Something victimless.
well,
Um,
unless I'm really desperate, then
What
maybe there
are,
will be a
maybe
victim.
there
But
isn't a victimless crime. I don't know. Well, don't say that, Brad.
it's just there in my back pocket just in case. That's my parachute right there at the
gotcha.
last
That's your
second.
parachute. Um, Nick, do you have
I have a
retirement
retirement plan. I have a
That's
401k, so we'll
there
see
you
how
go.
that goes.
There it is.
Right.
Yeah, that's more than a lot of people. Nick, do you have a
Right.
retirement plan at all?
No.
Okay.
No, I do not.
Um, I don't really have one either. We'll see. We'll see. I might not need one, but we'll see. What do you think of the viewpoint that people are forced to work until they're too old to enjoy life? What do you think of that? Do you think that's a accurate viewpoint, or do you think
Yeah,
that
for
No,
most people it is. Yeah, because what
yeah,
was the age of retirement? Like
it's
65, if not
yeah, 67
later.
now, I think maybe.
I mean, I think it's never I don't know, it's gonna sound really lame and cheesy, but it's not like it's too late to enjoy life. That doesn't make any sense. You know what I
No, that
mean?
is still pretty young, really, technically,
Yeah, well, I mean,
especially in this day and age.
I don't know. It's just you can enjoy your life up until then,
Oh,
you
that's
know?
very true. I mean, especially
Like
if
the
I
whole
mean,
way through, you should be enjoying your life.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
because it's really
Like,
it's 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Like you
right.
get,
Honestly, like
you
by
have
the
plenty of
time
time off to enjoy life.
if you do retire and you're working so much, by the time you do retire, you're gonna be wanting to do something.
Hmm.
And you got to keep yourself occupied. So,
That's funny because
that's
yeah,
a huge deal. Like, because you had been working for 50 plus years and then you stop, and that's going to happen to all of us. And then you're going to
well,
have to fill the time with something,
yep,
and you're
absolutely.
going to lose your mind because you're going to want to go back to work. So you
Yep,
got to
that's
have a
true.
bunch of hobbies.
So the next question is, do people need to work in order to mentally function in a civilized society? Meaning, some retirees go back into the workforce because their life felt
Mhm.
directionless,
Right.
aimless. They often describe retirement as boring.
Yeah.
Um, I think kind of right there. It's you need to do something. You're just gonna go crazy. You need to have hobbies. You need to have.
Right.
Now the problem is that a lot of people's hobbies, people don't think of it as work. It's work. It's just not work in the sense of you're working for someone or a company or maybe even yourself.
Right.
And the objection is to make money. You know, when you're
Yeah.
retired, the idea is that you're good now. Your pension or 401k and your social
Hmm.
security and
Hmm.
all that should help facilitate the need for work. So now you can go ahead and do things. So you can still enjoy, hobbies. But I think it's so much, the majority of your life is work in that sense prior to
Yeah.
that. So if you can't enjoy what you're doing to an extent where you love doing it and going to work every day, you're cheating yourself in a way. And I said that'd be more of a tragedy than I think people realize. And I think people they work in dead end jobs or something along those lines where they just, I mean, a lot of it's circumstantial. They can't actually go anywhere. This is the best they can do because they've got to hold on, they think, or they probably I can't go anywhere. There's certain things that they can't do. So they're forced into this little cubby hole. This is where I got to work. So, you've got to find the joys where you get them. You got to find it or you're going to be struggling. So I think a lot of people that work and that work is their whole life, they've never bothered to find anything outside of that. So when they don't have that anymore, they don't know what the hell to do. And so I would suggest work not be your main focus in life. Make it be a part of it, big part probably, I would say more likely. But God, have a bunch of other things going on and have fun doing it. Is that would be my suggestion. Um,
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people experience, and myself included, um, bringing work home.
mhm.
like the day follows you home, and you just think amongst yourself, and I don't know, it's hard to unwind sometimes from work. Depends on where you work. I think
Oh yeah, oh
ultimately
yeah,
it depends on where
absolutely.
you work. That makes you feel that way. You bring it home and you can't unwind. I've worked at places like that, that's a rough time.
Hmm. Oh yeah. All right. I got a couple questions here left, and unless Brad, you wanted to add something to that.
Oh no, you guys put it very eloquently. Yeah, I don't have anything to add.
So there's also the financial aspect of retirement. Some are able to save more than others. Do you think about retirement and what you would need to do in order to survive after you've reached retirement age more than you used to? Not at all the time. Do you think about it at all?
Like, oh, do I think about it now at this age? Yeah, all
Yeah,
the time. All the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Brad?
But think about retirement?
Yeah, the financial aspect of retirement.
Uh, no,
No.
not really. Like I'll worry about it when it happens.
Yeah, gotcha.
Like I
That's
said, I have
interesting.
the 401k going, and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah.
Right. Well, see, that's the thing, is that because I don't have a plan,
Mm-hmm.
I do think about it all the time,
Hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
because it's just like trying to facilitate it, trying to come up with something, trying to do the best I can, that sort of thing. Just like a lot of like millions of people. But
Um, okay.
I was
Any,
yeah,
oh, sorry, go on.
I was no, go ahead. I was just thinking, I was hoping we talk about a certain thing with the workplace.
Um,
I hope you bring it up, but maybe not.
well, bring
You
it
can
up
always
if I
bring it
don't.
up yourself
Yeah,
if he doesn't.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, no
Okay.
worries.
Yeah, yeah.
I just want to make sure I get through all this, and yeah,
Sure.
we're good.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. So, any advice for someone entering the workforce or anybody currently in the workforce? Any
Um,
advice that you could give?
Any advice?
Yeah,
Any advice? Always be looking. Like even if you have a job right now, have a resume, get all your skills going, and always be looking for something,
gotcha.
because you never know when. It sounds so cliche and stupid, but it's so true. You
Mm,
really honestly never know when the opportunity can come along to grab something better.
right on.
hmm.
Brad,
I would say don't gossip.
don't gossip.
Ooh, that's a
Yeah,
good one.
don't talk shit about people behind their backs.
That's a really good one. Yeah.
Because I see that I hear that happen a lot.
Hmm.
People just come up to me and talk shit about other people. I don't even ask for it,
Right.
but then I keep it to myself, and
Yeah.
just yeah, and try not to get
Caught up in it.
yeah, don't get
Yeah.
caught up in the gossip.
Yeah. Yeah.
As fun as it is to gossip about people, like, oh, did you hear about so and so and blah blah blah.
Right.
And also, I know workplace romances work for some people, but overall, I'd say yeah, don't shit where you eat, basically.
Hmm. Yeah.
Or as a wise man once said, rather crudely, don't get your pussy where you get your paycheck.
It's the
Yikes.
same.
Yeah,
Is that your boss?
Who the fuck that it sounded
it
like
was
some
it was a friend's dad who told me that. He is a wise man.
Was it Mark? Peter was one of the
Interesting.
12 wise men that followed Jesus around.
Hmm.
Jesus, watch out for that Mary Magdalene. All right. My advice, if I had to give, I don't know. Uh, I don't know. I would say, depending on what they want. If they want to go work in the trades, if they want to go to school, if they want to do whatever they want to do, whatever you have passion for when you're young, whatever sacrifices you have to make them, because you're only young once. You can only do it once. You may not work out. It may not work out. You may fail. It may be a disaster, but it'll be all right. And you can at least say you tried. A lot of people will just kind of just drift and waste the youth, the ability to go and, you know, they have the energy and the desire and the youthful enthusiasm to do that. Now you can, maintain in some aspects. I'd say you don't lose it. but there is something about being 20, 21, 22, and striking out and trying something you're passionate about, whether it be something in the arts or whatnot. You know, it could be painting, could be acting, could be singing, could be playing music, could be, you know, playing sports, could be any number of things, anything at all. Photography, filmmaking, doesn't matter. You know, doesn't matter. But find something you're passionate about and just try and go for it. You know, it may not work out, but just try. You know, because you'll probably go look back and think, you know, I had a number of years there where I could have done something more than what I was doing. And really, I was afraid of it not working out or something, afraid of something. And that's what kept me from doing it.
Hmm.
So
Right, right,
my
right.
advice would be to, before you even enter the workforce, really try and do something that you want you're passionate about, because you're going to be working at something that it's going to be a struggle for more than likely than any, even people that go to get degrees in something, go through all this school, get that job, find out it's not as great as they were hoping for. They lose the passion for it. And now they really don't know what to do because they've got a mountain of debt and they
Yep,
hate their job. So
yep,
it
yep,
happens
yep,
to
yep.
everybody. So before you
Hmm.
enter, do something you're passionate about that you love. Try and make that
Right.
successful. If that doesn't work out, which is that's okay.
That's great
Maintain it as a
advice.
hobby. Maintain it as a hobby. Keep you balanced.
Right.
And when you are entering the workforce, yeah, always be looking. Always try and find something that is a better fit for you. You don't owe these fucking people anything. That's it.
Right.
You owe yourself. That's it.
Hmm.
You owe it to
Hmm.
yourself. So you owe it to yourself to try and find something that you enjoy doing, because guess what? You're gonna be doing it for a while.
Right.
And you might not enjoy it after a while, then guess what? Find something else.
Right.
But always be working at something that, if you can, you know,
Hmm.
circumstances change everything. It's isn't a this is a generalization. This isn't a one glove fits all. The glove
Right.
may not fit. You still might have quit. But yeah, just have fun. Whatever you can have fun doing, do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you
All
go.
right, that would be it. All right, Nick.
That's good advice there.
What was your what was your thing you were hoping
Huh.
we'd get to?
Oh, is that it then?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was hoping that we would talk a little bit about COVID, like how it was with COVID when we
Ooh.
Oh.
working with COVID.
Oh. Okay.
So I could start if
Yeah. Go
that's
ahead.
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, let's see. I remember working at that BK actually. So okay, so that BK in Wanata that I worked at,
Hmm.
where Brad worked at, and you worked at the subway and stuff. I
Yeah.
worked there from like the July of 2017 to September of 2019.
Hmm.
Um, I remember that year of 2019, obviously COVID happened, COVID-19. Um, and I remember we were, during the beginning of it all, and we were working and uh COVID hit and BK was like super unprepared. Like we ran out of PPE, like we had no gloves. Like they didn't manage to get any ordered. They just couldn't get any because there were so many going out to other places. It was
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
Yeah.
Um, and so at some point at that BK, I was actually maskless and gloveless because they didn't supply us with any masks either, and they were
Oh my God.
impossible to find at that time. Really, like a few months in.
Wow.
And
Wow.
yeah, and so there was nothing I could do, but like really just kind of wash my hands like a lot, a lot, a lot. Like
Yeah.
between like everything.
That's
And the
crazy.
thing, it's especially because they had like no nail scrubbers.
Oh
Because like
jeez.
if you don't have gloves, you got to have the nail scrubbers.
Yeah.
Even because you got to cut your nails, obviously, got to be short. But you got to have those scrubbers as well. But anyway, I remember someone coming in the lobby without a mask and yelling at Des, who was the manager,
Yeah.
and seeing us all not wearing masks and stuff, and he was like, there ain't wearing no masks, and he wasn't either. And that's what and Des pointed that out to him. She's like, well, neither are you. And then he just like walked out. But I'll add one more thing. And at Five Guys, when I was working at Five Guys, because it was like, in the September of 2019. So like I stopped at that Burger King in Wanata, and I just started working at Five Guys like the next week. Um, I remember dealing with this customer at the register, and he was this, he was a Trump guy. He had the he had a Trump mask on. I thought it was
Nice.
very ironic,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is.
you know. And he had his MAGA hat on, of course. And the mask, we have one of those like the plastic barriers, like
Hmm.
the
Yeah. Oh yeah.
clear barriers between us. His mask kept slipping off, and the whole time he was just complaining about having to wear a mask and the Democrats and all this shit, and Nancy Pelosi, and the mask keeps slipping, and the spit, he's actually like the spit, like you could see it come out of his
Oh
mouth
Jesus.
landing on the glass thing. And it was just, I mean, this guy was a walking stereotype. It's unreal. It
Yeah.
was unreal, honestly.
Um, I think you might have COVID, because we went to a Pens game on this
Yeah.
April. That's Jesus. In February 18th of
Mm-hmm.
2020.
Mm-hmm.
COVID hit like 2 weeks later.
Oh,
I
was
think,
it 2020?
yeah. So it's
Yeah.
2020.
I believe
Yeah.
it was March 11th,
March of
2020 is
2020.
when everything
Got
shut
shut
down.
down.
Oh, that's right. It
Because
was
I
March of
remember it was my
2020. Yeah.
brother, sister, and dad's birthday.
Oh,
Oh,
happy
okay.
And
birthday.
yeah, that was the day everything shut down, basically.
I've always blamed them. And
That's
Carrie
right.
Russ's birthday as well. So
Yes, that's
throw
true.
that out there.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Harry Crust's birthday on the same day. But yeah,
But either
does.
way, yeah, you guys
But
know.
I figure I just, the stories stay the same. Doesn't really matter about the date, but I'm pretty sure that was 2020. But anyway, for Target,
You're right. I think you're right. Yeah.
it was interesting. I remember in March when everything got announced. It is a pandemic. Everything's closing down. Everyone go home basically, except for retailers. You have to stay out, do your shit. I played on repeat at about 70% volume on the Apple HomePod. It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine
Yeah.
by REM on repeat for at least 3 hours. So everyone just have to hear it's the end of the world as we know. Yeah. And lots of wiping down tables and counters and plastic barriers between everything and masks every single day. Uh, every couple hours, you'd spray stuff down. People's masks, their inventions for new types of masks were always funny, interesting. Then you get the people who don't wear masks, and they wear it like like it was something special. Like I'm doing a job here, I have to wear a mask, and they're giving me shit because they're not wearing a mask, and I am, and I just I'm like, dude, fuck off, I don't care. I'm really hoping you get COVID and it kills you. That's what I'm thinking.
Right. Yeah.
Then I don't have to deal with you anymore.
That's oh my God. I was thinking the same
That
thing
was my
during that
thought
time.
process. Every time I see
Yeah.
somebody without a mask complaining that I'm wearing a mask, like, dude, I'm not saying shit to you. Leave me the fuck alone. And just, I don't know, they're just shallow end of the gene pool there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Right.
So I mean, other than there was a guy who came, like literally like the second week. It's the pandemic's hit. It's like March 7th. It's like about St. Patty's Day. It's a little bit like a week later, like less. This dad and his two young kids are in the store at like 8 in the morning looking for Funko Pops. Not masks, not doing anything. Not nobody knows anything that's going on. Uh, it may not have been necessary, but at the time nobody knew anything. And these guys don't give a fuck. And he's looking for Funko Pops. I remember being so annoyed by that whole thing. And that just, yeah. Oh God, I hated it. But I really got annoyed with the masks after about, you know, a month or two. Especially in the summertime. God, it was so hot. And this mask was even worse. I would go into the deep freezer like constantly at work just to cool down. But yeah. Uh, Brad, how was COVID for you?
Man, it was really business as usual because working at a hospital, like, had to be open, like where everything else shut down. I was working midnights at the time, so I'm not sure I wasn't really a part of what happened during the day. I know they were like prepping for like a huge influx of ICU patients and whatnot. I don't think we ever got a huge surge of COVID. I don't think. But like I said, I was working midnights, so But I remember we had to wear. Everyone had to wear masks, like no, you know, like a base zero tolerance policy on masks. Like you had to wear a mask. Anyone in the hospital. Um,
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
let's see. Oh, I remember all the stuff going around. Oh, like healthcare heroes and whatnot. And remember, I got like, some
Oh
free
God.
food at McDonald's a couple times because they had a
Yep.
deal. I think I got a few tanks a few fill ups for free at BP because they had a thing for healthcare workers. So I took
That's something.
advantage of some of those things. And
Yeah. Yeah, I got
oh
the
god, oh
retail workers
there's
are heroes thing too.
oh yeah, yeah.
Fucking ridiculous.
I remember, yeah, when the vaccine first came out, we were first in line. Healthcare workers.
Oh yeah.
You're the guinea pigs. Like, and I was there the first. I think I had to go to Maryville to a different hospital to get it, and they gave you the vaccine, and then you had to like sit in a room for like 15 minutes to make sure there was no reaction. So that was kind of scary. And then,
Yeah,
man,
I
it
can only
wasn't until
imagine.
like a year or two, probably like a year and a half or 2 years ago when we finally were able to not have to wear masks at work. Like we were wearing masks, long into it. And some of my coworkers I had never seen their faces, you
Oh
know.
really?
Yeah, until like one day it's like, oh, you don't have to wear a mask. I'm like, oh my god, you look like that. You look like that.
Right.
Nice.
Then some people at work were against the vaccine and never got the vaccine, and I was
Yeah.
pissed. Like it's like I really want it to be like mandatory because come on, we work at a hospital. Everyone
Right.
needs to get the
Right.
vaccine,
Right.
but they never enforced that. But I got it, and yeah, and then after a few years of having to wear the mask, like I would overhear nurses complaining about wearing a mask, like we shouldn't have to wear a mask anymore, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's like, what? You're a healthcare professional. Like, what's the big deal?
Right.
And I
Yep.
think we were also running out of like normal masks, and I don't know who it
Yeah.
was, but people or companies would donate like cloth masks to the
Oh
hospital.
yeah. Some
So
people would like make them.
yeah,
There were like a
exactly. Yeah,
bunch of
people
people
made
making
them,
them. Yeah.
and some of them had like cool designs, and
Right.
but we had like a garbage bag full of them, and everyone got picked out all the good ones. And my first mask at the hospital it almost looked like I was wearing like a pair of tidy whities on my face. Like it was just like the most drab white, like slightly off-white, thick mask, like over my whole face.
It's got like that Hanes elastic strap on
Yeah, pretty much.
it.
But the midnight maintenance guy's like, Brad, you look like you're wearing a pair of underwear on your face. I'm like, oh, I guess so. Then eventually we had plenty of the your standard like surgical masks, and we were all wearing those for a long time. But
Right.
yeah, that was man, that was a time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
it
was
was.
definitely a unique experience. I might put that question down. That's a good one. What was COVID like for your workplace?
Right.
Um, Stuff like that. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Is there anything I can like just share like a few weird funny stories?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm
Yeah, I like
Really
to
quick.
share a couple too, but
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
you
Uh
first, Nick.
How long has this been going on for?
oh, I don't know.
Over 2 hours. We're
Two
at two
hours or
hours
so.
now.
Yeah.
Really? God damn.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, this isn't really a funny story. Well, I have some interesting, but anyway, I've actually had to call like an ambulance for a lady one time at
Really?
Subway. Yeah, I think she was having like a little heart attack or something. I remember calling and having to explain to them what was going on, and it was interesting. It was like the first time where I realized that under stress, like a lot of stress like that, I'm like clear headed, like and just precise. Like it's really bizarre. But then I've actually been able to use that sort of later on down the road. Um anyway, this is really funny. There's this guy, this buffalo chicken guy at Subway. Um I remember it's not like a regular or anything, but I'll never forget this guy. So there's a way that we did the buffalo chicken, right? We had the chicken pieces, but they weren't like seasoned. We didn't put the sauce on it because it wasn't ordered that much. So what we would do is we'd use the sauce from the bottle, and you'd have to explain this to the customer if they would ever order it, right? So we'd either heat the chicken up in the microwave or we'd put it on the sandwich if they wanted it toasted with the cheese and the sauce and blah 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 and whatnot, right? Um, so he said I wanted the buffalo chicken. He's like reading this off of his phone, like it's a an order that someone else at home or whatever took.
Mhm.
He yeah. So he's reading that off. And so I said, so I explained to him, okay, the buffalo chicken, this is what we have to do. And he's like, listen, and he's like, okay, yeah. And I'm like, okay. So I was making the buffalo chicken, and just as I go to put the buffalo sauce on, and mind you, there's a whole line behind him, busy time, like middle of lunch, half of the lobby's full. This guy's yells out, "No!" as I'm putting on the buffalo sauce. Like you just no. And I just stopped and didn't put the sauce on, like right before I put the sauce. Yeah, like after I put it on already. And I just stopped and I was like, "You wanted the buffalo chicken, right, sir?" And then he looks at his phone and then he goes and looks at me and he goes, "Yeah, yeah, I did." And that was it. That was it. It was dude, it scared the hell out of me because I was so focused on just like, okay, yeah, we
Balloon.
discussed this. This is what's going on. You know what I mean? I don't
Right.
have to. He just wasn't paying attention. I just explained something to him, and he just agreed to it. And it could have been anything.
Right, exactly.
Oh my god, no! Yeah, so I'll never forget that. And I also remember signing this thing. I've actually told this on this podcast before, but signing this thing for not a not
Oh,
we're not
yeah.
we weren't space stable. We weren't able to talk about Jared when that shit happened.
Right,
All
right.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I had to actually sign this paper about it. But we joked about it, saying it was like top secret and shit. But I
Right.
also so there was a time at this time at Burger King at Wanata. Um, this lady was standing at the counter and she was like staring at us, kind of like leaning on the counter, staring at us making food. And she ordered her food without ketchup. And as we were making the food, she like sees us put ketchup on a burger, just any random burger that we're working on. And she
Right.
yells out, "Excuse me, I said no ketchup." And Des saw what her order was and then saw what we were making and then said, "Ma'am, that isn't even your burger they're making." And she just like,
Oh my
"Oh,
god.
Oh
yeah,
God.
yeah, like what the fuck?" And then there was actually this crazy time where there was a car that caught on fire right out the drive-through window, at the
Damn.
second window to where they grabbed the order. It caught on fire, the engine caught on fire, and I remember Evan McLaughlin grabbing a fire extinguisher. Des grabbed a fire extinguisher. They both said fire, and they both went out there. And I remember I was so mad that Des put herself in danger like that. I was
Oh yeah.
so mad that I just wanted the place to just burn down. I was like, don't even bother with it. Let's just go. Let this place burn to the ground. Fuck that dude's car. Fuck that. Because like I
Yeah.
was so mad that she put herself in danger, but she did. She's awesome, man. So she like put out the fire. Her and Evan put out the fire and actually helped this person push the car, like put it in neutral and push it out of the way.
Oh wow.
And yeah, it was crazy. And I remember there was a whole line at that time. Like there was a line of people.
Damn.
And when there was this guy that finally, like near the end of the line, he just got one milkshake, and he was so mad that it took so long to get his milkshake. And we
Oh
had to
my God.
explain to him that there was a fire. There was a
Right.
car on fire in the line.
That's
That's why
ridiculous.
you didn't. Yeah, exactly. But I have a
Oh my god.
million stories, as you can imagine, having worked
For
in
sure.
Oh
the
yeah.
service industry. I have so many that I can. This could be a segment on its own.
For
So,
sure.
like, you guys should definitely just go ahead and maybe share some funnier stories or something.
Well,
Oh,
for me, I'm going to be hosting these. I mean, you guys are free to join as well. We might have one extra person that we haven't talked to yet. So I'm
Okay.
going to have plenty of opportunity to just give out story after story. Um,
Okay.
yeah. Brad, do you have any that want to add to this before we
Um,
close it up?
all right. So one of the chefs I work with, he's a great guy. He's kind of goofy, and it always cracks me up. I mean, really, so many of the people I work with crack me up. They're just all great, funny people. But
Hmm.
this Chef Brian, just a few things that I've like overheard or seen him do. One time I was walking by him and another cook, and all I hear Chef Brian say is, "You travel back in time to 1939 and you kill Hitler." And I'm just like, what is he telling one of the cooks to actually travel back in time and change history? There's context
What?
to. I learned the context later, but I'm gonna leave it out because it's just like, what the fuck.
Okay.
One time I'm working in this like tray of like, it looked like wet cat food formed into patties, and like
Oh
I
God.
pick I picked one up and it like crumbled all weirdly, and Chef Brian walks by. I'm like, "Hey chef, what is this?" And he just says, "That's not real. Don't eat it." Let's see what else.
It's not real.
Yeah, don't eat it.
Like
That's
you're
not real.
hallucinating.
Yeah, yeah.
Brad,
So he was
that's
really
not
looking out for
real.
me.
Don't eat
D-
whatever
dur-
you think that might be.
During our holiday meal, we have like all like the high executives serving food, and they're always like overdoing it. And Chef Brian the whole time is just yelling portion control" to try to get them to stop. One time this like burnt like blackened pizza came back for me to throw away, and he walks by and just glances at it, takes a piece, and just starts eating it and walks away.
Oh my God, dude.
Okay, I
Let's
gotta add a
see.
story.
This guy's off his rocker, man.
Um,
Who is
all right,
this?
I opened the door to the cafeteria, like bunch of people, and here comes Chef Brian right towards me, so like he's gonna be coming through the door. So he's cutting through people, and he's like, "Oh, pardon me, excuse me, pardon me," all nicely. And then I step aside, hold the door for him, and he comes up to me. He points his finger like straight in my face, like an inch away from my face, and he just goes, "Brad, pardon me." Just like yells it at me.
Is Chef Brian still around? Is he
Oh
still
yeah,
working
yeah, oh
there?
yeah, yeah, definitely.
That's
Um,
amazing.
but we make like test trays, like testing the food, and then
Uh-huh.
it's he brought the tray back and puts it on like a cart next to me, and he takes it off and he just starts eating the hot food with his hands, and then he just like gives me this look. He's like, "Hey Brad, you can have the pudding and the milk, but I was all up in the hot food." Let's see, there's one more. Oh yeah, one time he sent me up to the doctor's lounge to clean up a mess that didn't exist. I don't know if that was some kind of weird power move on his part. All right, last one. I think this is the last one. Yeah. So there's another chef, Dan. He calls me over, and Dan and Brian are there. He's like, "Hey Brad, try Chef Brian's Salisbury steak." And then Brian's like, "It's not Salisbury steak." And then I look at it, and it looks exactly like Salisbury steak. So I say, "I don't know, it looks like Salisbury steak to me." And he says, "Shut up, Brad, and try it. It's eye of round." So he ground up like some, a nice
Uh-huh.
cut of meat and made like what looked like Salisbury steak. So I'm tasting it, and another random employee walks by and goes, "Oh, Salisbury steak." And then Brian just, his eyes go like dead. And he just stares ahead, and we're all cracking up. And then I say, "Well, it tastes like Salisbury steak," and he goes, "No, it doesn't." He's like so pissed off.
Right.
It was really good. He called it a smothered steak. So he made like
okay.
fancy
Nice.
Salisbury steak.
Nice.
But, oh man, it
nice.
was so funny. And then later on, Dan and Brian are in their office, and this other dishwasher, Travis, had just come in. He had no idea what that was about. But I'm just like, "Hey Travis, go in the office and tell Chef Brian that he heard he made a really good Salisbury steak." So I watched Travis go in the office. It's like, "Hey Brian, I heard you made a really good Salisbury steak." And then, oh my God, Dan was just cracking up. And then Brian's just like, looking all pissed off. So, I mean, that's just a small sampling of
Yeah.
the shenanigans that go down.
All right. Now you've inspired me to give two at least.
Oh yeah,
I
go
was
for it.
working at the cafe. I'm closing up, cleaning up. I'm doing dishes in the back. Just finished them. And before I can leave, I have to have a manager, shift manager, one of them, come and check it out. see if everything's okay to go, and then he says, "You're good to go," and then I clock out and all that stuff. Well, I let Rich know that I was good to go. He'd come over and check it, make sure it's good, and then I'll leave. So I'm in the back just putting a few less things away, and Rich comes over and starts checking everything out. And he looks over. I come up from behind, and I can see him in like the little cafe area, like behind the counter. We had a popcorn machine. Well, I had swept up popcorn on the floor and whatever else and thrown it in the trash. It was on top of the trash. Popcorn mixed in with dust and God knows what else. Rich looks over, looks back at the door, see if anybody's there. I wasn't there. All right, yeah, I was, but he didn't see me. Looks back at the trash can, grabs himself a piece of popcorn and eats it.
Oh
Goes,
no.
that's not that bad. Walks away.
God.
And so I was like,
Oh my
the
God.
fucking guy just ate out of the trash. And I kept that a secret for years. On Rich's last day at Target, he's getting ready to leave. I'm getting ready to leave. He might have been leaving too. He's sitting there at TSC, which is like the main secretary where you receive phone calls, stuff like that. I'm putting on my coat, and I said, "Rich, he was awesome. He was a really good guy. He's a lot of fun to work with." But I was like,
Yeah.
"Rich, I really enjoyed working with you. But I do have to say, I saw you one time eat popcorn out of the trash."
Nice.
His face goes beet red, and I was like, "You didn't think anybody saw that, but I saw that. I saw you eat popcorn out of the trash. Don't worry, I didn't tell anybody. I told everybody. I told as many people as I could. I told whoever would listen. I told customers. We had a manager that ate out of the trash. You don't think yeah.
That is such a Larry David thing, man.
Oh,
That is
that's a straight up
such
George.
a Larry
That's
David.
straight up George Costanza with the
Right.
eclair.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, George would be the one eating out of the trash,
The trash,
right?
yeah.
But Larry David, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
Another one, there was a guy named Carl I used to work with, real nice guy,
I
but
love Carl.
he couldn't really see very well. He always had to have like a magnifying glass to look at his phone and the PDA, as we called it, the things that scan items in the store.
Mm-hmm.
And one morning, I'm in the office getting equipment, signing it out, all that stuff. And Carl is in there, and he's like, "Chris, can you help me find my name tag? I can't find it anywhere." And it's Carl, and I'm like, "And he can't see." And I look over, and I don't see it anywhere, but I do see a name tag that starts with a K. I was like, "Oh, it's right there, Carl." "Oh, thank you." And he grabs it, puts it on, walks out. For the first half of his day until he went on his lunch, every customer was calling him Kelly. It's like, "Kelly, can you help me out? Kelly? Kelly?" And he's like, "What the hell are they calling me Kelly?" And then at the end, he's like, he comes up to me, he's like, "Why'd you give me that name tag? Why'd you tell me to watch that?" I was like, it's right there, Carl. It's a slow pitch right across the plate. What do you want me to do? Not do that? That's ridiculous. And people are like, "Why are you teasing Carl?" I was like, "I'm not teasing. It's a little joke. I don't mean any
Yeah,
harm, but I just thought it'd be funny if people
right.
called him Kelly for half the day."
Dude, Carl was great, man.
He's great. He's great.
I actually had one little story of Carl, but maybe share that some other time.
Yeah, I need to eat.
Yeah.
I'll probably cut that out that I need to eat, but yeah.
But yeah, honestly, man, like I'm thinking, like if any of the listeners have any funny stories that they want to share, you could always share it like in the comments, right?
Oh,
But
for sure. I'd love to hear
I
it.
definitely recommend. I want
I'd
people
love to
to
hear it.
try and maybe email us if they can.
Okay.
historywithhersafat@gmail.com. Historywithhersafat
Okay.
at gmail.com. Email us and share some stories. So maybe we could read some of these emails.
Yeah, that'd be
absolutely.
great to do
Yeah,
an
we'll read them
episode,
on.
just a straight up like mail episode where we read people's
that'd be awesome.
emails.
Yeah,
that'd be a lot of fun.
Definitely.
All right, that sounds great. All right, thank you guys. Thank you. And with that,
sure.
I hope you enjoyed listening to our conversation and will join us again for another installment of History with Hersafat. Don't forget to hydrate, exercise, and to like, comment, and subscribe to the podcast. All these things are essential for your health and well-being. Take care of yourselves and each other.